Hey everybody, Bill the Kansas Flamingo Chef. Today the weather changed. I mean, changed. Just to give you an idea, yesterday it was 97 degrees. 97. In fact, the feels like temperature was over 100. Today it is 50. Now 50 may not sound cold, but when you go from 100 to 50 in a day, it feels pretty cold. Plus the wind's blowing like crazy, so probably this feels like temperature's probably lower than that. The reason I tell you this is because it gets cold. I want pasta, stews, chilies, gumbos, that kind of stuff. So let's make some pasta. I'm going to show you how I make marinara sauce, just a simple spaghetti sauce. Obviously you can use the stuff out of a can. I rather make it. And I'm also going to make some meatballs. Here we go. Okay, so I like to start by making the sauce. I'm going to brown the meatballs and then let them cook in the sauce. So I want to get the sauce cooking first. My sauce is going to be really simple. So went over to the local Kroger store. In Wichita we call it Dillon's. I got a can of tomato sauce. I got a can of diced tomatoes with green chilies. I got a can of diced tomatoes Italian style. I've got some Magic Chef Chamois garlic butter from Sam's. I've got some olive oil, extra virgin. Always buy decent olive oil. Don't buy the stuff that doesn't even have a brand name on it. Then I've got my seasonings, which are going to be parsley, some Italian seasoning, some oregano, salt and pepper of course, and some minced garlic. That's how we're going to make our sauce. Then we're going to use a lot of the same ingredients to make the meatballs. For the meatballs we're going to use the same spices, the garlic, most people will tell you use Parmesan cheese. It's fine. I happen to prefer provolone, so I've got a couple slices of provolone. I've got some buttermilk, breadcrumbs, Italian style, and a couple of eggs. And last but not least, I've got a pound of Italian sausage, mild. You can use hot if you'd rather. And I've got 2 pounds of ground beef. Now, I splurged because they had some on sale and I got the really good stuff. You don't need to do this, but when the really good stuff is cheaper than the other stuff, why not? So I've got 2 pounds of ground sirloin. You want to use 2 parts beef to 1 part pork when you do this. The other thing that you'll sometimes see people talk about putting into meatballs is tomatoes. Now, I'm just not a fan. I do like to put some onion in it. So I'm going to use part of a chopped onion. But let's start with the sauce. Okay, so a couple of things I left out. Usually I make my own tomato sauce, but today I'm going to cheat and use canned tomato sauce for a couple of reasons. 1, it's faster, and 2, it's a little easier for the purpose of this video. A couple other things, and these are optional. I mentioned onion. I also like a little bell pepper, some green onion if you have it, and here's the weird one, some baby carrots. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to chop a bell pepper just into big pieces and an onion the same way. Then I'm going to throw about a handful of the carrots and together into a blender or food processor, bring all that down so that it's almost like mush, because I don't want big chunks of stuff in my sauce. What I've done is I've quartered an onion and quartered a bell pepper. I've taken 1/4 of each and cut into small pieces, which I'll actually put in the pot to start cooking. The rest of this I'm going to put into my Ninja, the blender. So I'll throw all that stuff in here. And make sure you can see what I'm doing and bring that up just a little bit. And then I'm going to take some baby carrots. And when I say a handful, I mean just about a handful. And drop those in there as well. I'm going to go ahead and blend all that down. You don't need to make it smooth. I just want it all chopped up as small as possible without being mush. And then we're going to go ahead and start cooking in here. But before I blend this, I'm going to start the process of the sauce. So go ahead and get your heat set on about medium high and put your chopped vegetables into the pot first. We'll add a little garlic, butter, and some olive oil to this. As far as the olive oil, I'm going to go ahead and put just a little bit in, maybe a teaspoon, and I'm going to let those vegetables start to cook while I pulverize the other vegetables. Okay, just about 3 pulses of the blender, and I've got smashed down vegetables. I'm just going to put those right into the pot. At this point, we're going to add a little garlic butter, probably about 2 tablespoons. I'm going to let that saute itself down a little bit before we do anything else. Alright, you can hear that good sizzle going on, which is exactly what I want to happen. So when that starts, it's time to add some garlic. So I'm going to put in a big heaping, the equivalent of about 3 cloves of garlic into there. And then I'm going to add my Italian seasoning. Oh, about 2 to 3 teaspoons. And you can add this seasoning as you go to taste. I put a little parsley in there, probably about a teaspoon. And some oregano. The oregano I like a lot, so we'll probably go about probably a good 4 teaspoons there. I'm going to add a little bit of salt. You're not going to need a lot of salt, but you need some salt for those fresh vegetables. And some pepper. I like pepper, so I add probably more pepper than most people would. Go ahead and move this around every once in a while and get it all mixed together and make sure it's cooking evenly. Do not add your tomato sauce until those vegetables have broken down. If you do, what you're going to have is tomato sauce with a whole bunch of lumpy vegetables in it. You're not going to have a nice cooked down pasta sauce. Alright, our vegetables are cooking down. You can probably still hear it sauteing. I really want that to cook to the point where they're just soggy. So I'm just going to let them keep working until I add anything else. In the meantime, I'm going to take my 2 pounds of ground sirloin and drop in this container. And a pound of ground Italian sausage in there with it. Making meatballs is messy business. If you don't like getting your hands messy, then you should probably wear gloves, because this is going to get messy. We're going to add some parsley, just kind of liberally, and some oregano, and some Italian seasoning. And add a little salt and pepper. So we're just using the same stuff in the meatballs that we're using in the pasta sauce, making sure the flavors match. A little bit of olive oil, it doesn't take very much, maybe a teaspoon. I want some garlic in there. That's about all that's left in this container, which is about, give or take 3 cloves. So we're just going to use it all. Gotta stir my vegetables so they don't burn. Okay. Now we're going to put 2 eggs in here. I'm going to add some breadcrumbs. And the key to the breadcrumbs is don't put a whole lot in at first. You're going to keep adding them till you get the consistency the way you want it. And then I'm going to add a little either milk or buttermilk. And I know what you're thinking, why? Well, the milk keeps them from getting overly dry. Nobody likes to eat dry crumbly mushrooms or meatballs. Then the last but not least, I'm going to add the Parmesan. In this case, I'm using provolone. And I'm just going to break some up in here. I like provolone in a meatball. If you want to use Parmesan, go ahead. It's just cheese. It's whatever cheese you like. I've got 2 pieces of provolone here that I'm just kind of breaking into the meat. Meanwhile, our vegetables are almost ready for the tomato sauce. So we're going to stir them again, make sure they're still breaking down. They're going to reduce quite a bit in that process. Okay, so the key here is to have your breadcrumbs ready to keep adding more. Just start kneading this together. And it should be almost like a dough-like consistency, but not so dry that you can't form it, and not so wet that it won't make a ball. Okay. So I need a little more breadcrumbs. And you just keep working this till you get it to that right consistency where it's almost like dough. It's going to need just a little more breadcrumbs and it'll be ready, and then we'll start making meatballs. Okay, so our meatballs are ready to form and our sauce is ready to go to the next phase. You can see those vegetables have really cooked down. In fact, you might hear them whining at the moment. I'm just going to go ahead and add a can of tomato sauce. Both of them actually, and the cans of the 2 tomatoes. Stir that together easily so that it all mixes together and you get all the flavors. And there is marinara sauce. Now, when you taste it, if you need more garlic or you need more oregano or whatever, but that's fine, but don't do it for at least 10 minutes. Let it simmer for at least 10 minutes before you add anything to it so you can know what the flavor profile is actually going to be like. I'm going to move that onto the other burner and get ready to start making meatballs, because the first thing with the meatballs we're going to do is brown them. The heat on the sauce, we're going to set it medium and leave it alone for the next 10 minutes. We're going to work over here. Okay, so you could put olive oil in the pan, that's fine, but I'm just going to use some spray olive oil in a can. It's kind of cheating, but it works really well. I've got my heat at medium. I've got enough olive oil in the bottom of the pan to cover the bottom of the pan. We don't want to fry the meatballs, we just want to brown them a little bit. Now this is when you get to pick how big you want the meatball to be. Me, I like it the size that fits in the palm of my hand. So there's one of my meatballs. When you do this, it works best if you put a little olive oil on your hands, and that way they won't stick. And then just lay them in there. By the way, if you have little kids, they will love this part. So if you want to teach them how to cook something, let them roll the meatballs. And I'm telling you, it will keep them entertained. Them, it's like Play-Doh. Here again, we don't want to cook these completely in here. We're just getting them browned a little bit. So we're going to turn them. Alright, once you've got a nice browning on them and you're comfortable with the way the consistency and they're not falling apart, then just go ahead and put them right in to your sauce. Okay, so now the meatballs are in the sauce. We're just going to let this cook. Stir it every so often gently. You don't want to break the meatballs before they're completely done, but you want to try to keep them submerged as much as possible. This is going to cook on medium to medium high, stirring occasionally for about the next hour, and then it'll be beautiful. Alright, so our sauce has been working now for almost 30 minutes. You can see it's starting to come up to a boil. I'm going to turn the heat way down and just let it simmer. I don't want this at a roaring boil. Meantime, I'm going to boil some water, make some pasta. Alright, pasta's done, sitting off to the side, just staying warm. The meatballs are done. I just took one out and broke it in half so you can see what it looks like. I mean, these, and you can see the consistency. They're not falling apart. They're not crumbly. They're not hard as a rock. It's a perfect consistency meatball, which is what you get when you use a little bit of egg and milk in your mixture. Other than that, plate it up and serve.